Hey guys, we're back, episode 12. We have a special guest who we'll introduce in a minute. But Azza, welcome, mate, my right-hand man. How's things been this week? What's been going on? What's new?
Good, mate. Not much is going on and nothing is new at all. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are in the same boat if you live in Melbourne Metropolitan. So, no, nothing new at all. I'm, as per probably the messages the last few weeks from me, mate, just enjoying the live sport and soaking in as much as I can. Disappointed the Tigers couldn't get the job done last week. So that upset me a little bit last Friday night. But hopefully they can get it done against the Saints this week, mate.
All right, let's fill in it, mate. That's the main thing. The doggies are
That's
out.
it.
I was a little bit gut-wrenched. I thought I'd promote it, say we're going to do this, and we fell short, but that's okay.
I'm with you there on that one.
The what?
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, spewing. But anyway, happy Groundhog Week, guys. Hey, we got David Herbert on. He's a very genuine guy. We love him. He's a good friend of ours. Rate him highly, and we only get people on that we think are genuine and true. He's got a resume that's pretty long. So, guys, if you've got half an hour, we're going to quickly go through it. He's been a senior advisor, Sports and Recreation Queensland. He's been a head coach of the way, so WNBL coach. He's been involved in development roles, a manager at Cockburn Basketball, assistant coach at the Canberra Capitals, regional coordinator for the Sports Commission, chief executive officer at Cairns Basketball, director of Pathways and Development at Geelong. He's currently head of basketball at Western Heights, which is an up-and-coming sports program out in Geelong, so get on that. Basketball Victoria High Performance Coach at the Geelong Hub, and also the Australian Under-19 Gems women's head coach. So ex-NBL, NBL 1, it's a massive list. Dave, have I missed anything in your amazing resume?
The only thing that concerned me was how you pronounced Coburn.
Did I say it wrong?
Pronounced it as Cockburn, and it was a bit of
My vision's a little bit blurry, mate. It's early for me, Dave. Come on, I'm still adapting to the day, mate. I'm getting there. Sorry, mate. So, have I missed anything in this crazy resume you've got? Which is, you've made me feel like I'm a failure, that I've achieved nothing compared to what you've done, mate. But awesome job. So, is there anything we've missed that's major that you've done?
No, I just I've been in the right place at the right time a number of times, and got lucky. That's probably the thing. Like when you start out coaching, you obviously need to be in the right place at the right time and get the right opportunity. And in some ways I did, in some ways I didn't. And it's been a journey, that's for sure.
It's an amazing journey, mate. And as it's going to jump in, and we're just going to throw questions at you, and we're just engaged and we're just excited. You also run Hoops Coach Network, which is a Facebook page that you've created. Where you get me amazed, Dave, is you share everything you do. You're not worried about this, guys. This is my IP. This is my way. You share every content. If you pick up on things, you share it because you think it's for the greater good for the community, the basketball community, and people itself. What got this journey? How does this journey begin, mate? From the first day, Dave thought I'm going to be involved in basketball. You've gone to where you were to where you are now, which is amazing. And also the year that wasn't, because you didn't actually get to coach the Australian team this year, but you're still the head coach. How did this journey all transpire, mate? How did it start?
Well, it's funny. I read a newspaper ad. I come from Morwell. I don't admit that very often, but I do. I should admit it more. Like it's Latrobe Valley and everything like that. And Morwell's dying at the moment. It really is. And at that stage, Morwell was a pretty big basketball community. Like we had a Division 1 men's team that would go and compete at country championships and play Division 1. So
wow.
There's a rich history behind it, and some terrific players have come out of there. And I was lucky. I was coached by the likes of Russell Thomas, Marty Hansen, and a number of coaches in the Gippsland area. And I suppose that I read a newspaper article when I was like 11, said, Mum and Dad, I want to play basketball, and went to a gym which was probably 500 meters away and joined. And that's where the journey began. And I've loved it. Like I guess I was lucky at under 16 level. I made the Australian Country Cup and played for the country. Probably learnt that my first game I went from playing as a 4 or 5 man for more. I'm the same height now as I am then, to a point guard, and probably had 50 turnovers in my first game at the Country Cup.
Wow.
But I guess you realise like I wasn't the quickest. The athleticism probably, I'll admit that, not there. And I looked at the journey of coaching, and I love playing, obviously, but the junior coaching started, and I was lucky. A guy by the name of Russell Thomas asked me to go away with Vic Country, and it was as an apprentice coach. I hadn't even coached a team at that point in time.
Wow.
Went away, did stats. It was in Tasmania, and there's a funny little story there, and I don't know how I can say this without incriminating the guy, but we're in a semi-final, and he walks down the bench and says to me, "If we're a point down, if we lose this game, I don't know how to politically say this, but I'm based on Camry, but a young lady named Sue Ainsbury, I remember the shot because I was pretty happy about it, made a buzzer beater. And I basically went up to her and said, "Oh, you saved my ass. Thank you." that experience, from then on, I wanted to coach, and I followed that passionately. Coach Morwell was lucky enough to meet a guy by the name of Jack Thomas, tremendous coach. He very hard-nosed, knew what he wanted, but was amazing with me. And he put me on to a guy called Steve Barr at Dandenong, and I managed to get an assistant coach's role. So I suppose I transitioned out of the playing into coaching pretty quickly.
Yep.
And the opportunity with Steve was as an assistant coach in the WNBL, and at the same time I was involved with Vic Country state teams, and from there leapfrogged to a high performance role in Queensland with the Academy of Sport in North Queensland in Townsville. And yeah, I guess I was in the right place at the right time. They started the Fire, Townsville Fire in the WNBL, and at 26, I was lucky enough to get the role. Wow. And that probably brings me on to another conversation in terms of being that age and understanding that I probably took that pathway too quickly.
Yep.
I was the head coach there for 6 years, but if I had my time again, I'd definitely do it differently.
Wow.
Good job. Amazing.
I guess, sorry, Dave, I'll come in. Why do you do it? Why did you choose the coaching path early? You sort of said you fell into it or started it early. Why did you do it, and why have you continued to stay in it?
I think I enjoyed seeing kids develop. You teach them something, they put it into practice, you see them evolve over time, and that's the enjoyment that I get out of it. Like you watch kids, and I think now as I get older, it's the coach education side and watching coaches develop. And like there's some young coaches at the moment. I suppose I'm involved with mentoring and helping, and you have the likes of a young Brenton O'Brien, who I think I've spent 4 years getting my hair going greyer, trying to get him to finish his degree and understand that it's important. Yeah. I didn't finish my degree. I was doing a degree at Deakin, the sports coaching degree with David Parkin. Decided 2.5 years into it, I'd jump and go. I'd head north and go to Townsville. It's probably one of the worst decisions I've made. I should have finished my degree. I would probably be a full-time teacher, or possibly coaching in the college system in America or something like that. So the advice there would be make sure that you get your degree done, you get everything that you possibly can. I'm not saying a degree is for everybody, but learn and develop as much as what you possibly can as a coach before you go. And like at 26 going to the WNBL, I'll go back to that a little bit here. I probably diverted from your question a little bit.
Oh, you're right.
But I wasn't ready. The ability to manage people and some players who were older than me was I had a young Susie Bakovic out of the Institute, and Natalie Porter and a number of superstars in my first year, and the team didn't gel. It just didn't work. And as a young coach, I didn't know how to manage that. There's conflicts arise, there was things arise, and I look back on that, and I love to have some conversations with a number of those players, and in some respects say, hey, look, I'm sorry, I didn't handle that as well as what I could have. But at 26, I wasn't ready. And you see so many young coaches these days who are trying to climb the ladder as quick as they can.
Yeah.
The top as quick as they can. And I can tell you from experience, it's a quick way to the top and a fast way to the bottom.
Yep.
So I got lucky in the second year. Like we won 3 games in the first year. The second year we made the preliminary final, so I did get lucky. But and I learned a lot. But at the same time, if I had my time again, I would certainly manage players better, deal with players a lot better, and a lot of that coaching at that upper level in the WNBL is about player management. There's no doubt about that. And people always said, "You're not tough enough. You don't do this. You don't do that well." And I tried to change, and I tried to be someone that I probably wasn't. It wasn't my personality. Yep. So then I went, okay, well, I need to be me. So I was trying to yell and scream and do those things, and it didn't shine through in what my personality was.
Yeah.
And when you're not like that, don't try and be like that. And coaching's changed. It's not about yelling and screaming anymore. It's about nurturing, developing, and I suppose baffling people with some bullshit.
You got to convince that mind something that they don't realise that you're just trying to convince them, isn't it?
Yeah, like you really got to understand the science and and basketball to try and get them to buy into your philosophy. It's not really bullshit, but I think it's really important that you get a buy-in from your players, and that's what I've learnt later in my coaching. Like at the moment, I feel prior to COVID, I was probably in the best position I've ever felt. That I know how to manage players. I have a philosophy that's still evolving, but it's something that I guess COVID has given me an opportunity to study the game and work at the game and look at videos and online sessions, which I absolutely hate. But it's given me a chance to sit back and go, okay, how can I improve and get better as a coach as well? Which is seeing me do some further study. So
that's with staying in the game that, Dave. Like before I'm not saying I'm a great coach, but when I coach, I always said that I stay the person first or the people and create the culture. And then we start to create the philosophy with the people I have. And then we try to, it's a two-way street, but then we create the philosophy around the group of people by doing, we do D-Day, define Dave, who we are, where we were, where we're at, where we want to be. Do you stay the people first, or do you worry about the game, your philosophies, and then try and implement that into the people? Which way do you go about it? Because some people might go the people first, some people might go the game first, and then try and marry it together. How do you bring it all together? What's the first step for you?
I think one of the things that I was lucky enough to be at Duke University when Mike Krzyzewski was sitting down with a group of athletes for the first time. It was 1999. And the one thing he said there has stayed in my head, and I repeat it often, is you've got to learn to fit in before you stand out. So when you first go into a program, I think that's one of the things you've got to find out and like you say, nurture people and and build a rapport and a relationship. And to evolve to a championship stage, it takes time. It's not something that'll happen in the first season. So, but once you build that rapport and you build that, you fit in. You can then start to implement your philosophy and bring it all together, like you said. And I refer to a young Ebony Rolfe. I probably shouldn't name players on here, should they? But in the first year, I can tell you, we were trying to fit her in, etc. And we had clashes. After 3 months into it, we're clashing head on. And it was probably more about teaching her what I expected and meeting her with that middle ground. And it was to the point I thought at the end of the year we're going to lose her. But what happened was I think there was a mutual respect formed. She knew what I wanted. I knew what she wanted. And it was that building a rapport and that relationship and nurturing that I think really helped in terms of that type of situation. And in the end, I had a player that was like a second coach for me in the Super Cats. She was just tremendous, and it was all built around that trust that we developed over time. And I'm very proud of what she achieved and everything like that. I think she's a player that's sort of on the fringe of the WNBL and didn't really break into that. But coming from Portland to Geelong, her career was a terrific one with the Supercats.
Yeah,
fantastic.
So, can you tell us a bit more about how your philosophy evolved, Herbie? You said just before you sort of came in and you thought you had an idea of who you were, but it wasn't quite the fit for you in terms of being a bit of a yeller or a ranter or a raver. How did that sort of start to evolve acutely? Because you probably would have had maybe a light bulb moment or a couple of light bulb moments. Would you be able to talk us through that?
Yeah, I think when I look at my coaching and like 26 WNBL, I haven't coached that many games. Like I get in and I go through the first 2 weeks, for example. And this may not be spot on, but I reckon it'd be pretty close. I get in there, something doesn't work in a game, I throw it out the window. So there goes one offense. I start a new philosophy straight in that. Okay, I'll try this now, and that didn't work. Okay, I'll throw that out. So next thing I'm changing, mixing and matching and changing, and I think it was sort of a process of, because I was doing that, I was learning a lot about different systems and things like that, but there was no real structure or what I was looking at. And in the end, I developed a philosophy that I stuck to. And the year we won the championship with the Siebel, we had basically one transition offense, one end ball play, one side ball play, but multiple ideas out of that. Mm-hmm. And all we did, if it didn't work, I went, okay, well, we've got to develop and learn to read the defense better. I didn't look to change what I was doing. I looked to, okay, how can we evolve this a little bit more and make changes within the structure we have, rather than throw out, there goes the flex offense, I'll bring in the shuffle, there goes this, I'll bring in that. And I think, again, that would be something that I would say to young coaches, is it's not your philosophy will grow over time. Mm-hmm. At the moment, like, I'm sitting down looking at the gem stuff, and I'm looking at what we're gonna run and everything like that, and I'm doing a bit of a hybrid of what I've run previously, and looking at current international trends and those things. And I can tell you, I could go in 500 different directions right now. Yeah. But I've just got to try and keep it simple. And sure. That kiss, which Darren would love because he loves hugging and kissing people, keep it simple, is so important. Like, yeah, if you have, I recall a day at the University of Texas. I was sitting there. I wrote down 56 different set offenses. This coach ran in an hour and a half.
Wow!
How do players learn that? Okay, all that does, in my head, is it builds the anxiety of the player.
Yep.
They don't understand exactly. You hear a call. Okay, what's that? So my thing is, like, run something, run it well. Don't change it. Don't make sure you evolve it. Make sure you teach the players how to read it better. Like, they're just the different ways of doing an on-ball screen now. It's changing. It's evolving. There's hundreds of different ways of doing it. And what you got to do is, again, just try and break down the philosophy of it. So it might be, okay, we're sending the ball hand or the handler away from the screen as it's coming to them. So what's the philosophy going to be there? If the philosophy is to send it over the screen, what do we do there? Mm-hmm. And try and simplify it, not run the 50 different ways of doing it, but simplify to a couple of things that the players can do really well. Yeah. And I think looking at the gems, that's what I'm trying to do is, okay, we're going to do A, B, C, D, E, and F very well. And then if F doesn't work, we might have G and H, but that's about it. So not try and build something that no one understands. The anxiety is there for the players, etc.
Yeah, it's not as if you've got to build a scientific equation like some people think they've got to do, and they have all these mathematical formulas that people just can't read and understand. Hey, we're on the Gems, Dave, under 19 Australian team, females. What's it like? I think you've got the most important age in any sport, because you got the ones who are coming through the youth program, you got the ones who are about to go into the real world, the adult world. you've actually got the age that's probably the most important, which means you're going to have the most important influence. How do you feel knowing you've got the best caliber of talent in Australia at the age they're at, knowing that you are potentially the next point of difference in how they face their next step coming out of the junior program? How do you feel knowing that that's your role, that's your influence? And to me, I reckon it'd be an amazing experience in itself. Just give us a bit of a brief on that, Dave.
Because you're shaping future Opals, aren't you, Dave? Hopefully.
Yeah, that's right. And that the hard bit is, okay, with the Gems is you're looking, one, at talent. You're looking, two, at how hard they work, and three, what potential Opals are there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're selecting a team, it's difficult. You've got to factor in all those things. And, okay, there might be a player who is taller, that may take longer to develop, etc. You've got to nurture that player, and they may not make your final team, but you've got to bring them through the program, or you've got to bring them into the program and take them away and give them that experience. Because at the end of the day, it's if you leave that 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" young female player out of the Gems, will they go on and develop their basketball? No, they might fall out of the sport completely. But potentially they're the player that may be the next Opal. They may be the next Ezzy Megabor, which was awesome to see her win a championship. So
she's a great kid too, Dave.
Yeah. So I think it's a big responsibility, and I was lucky enough to go away with Deanne Butler and Claudia in the last campaign, and we
had a Dave, weren't you?
Sorry.
Yeah. Under D then. Yep.
Yeah, and it was an awesome experience. Dee had been away on a number of campaigns with Phil Brown, and who's a guru of our sport, an absolute legend, and to work with Deanne or Dee in that environment, and Claudia, was just amazing. Like I loved every moment of it, and I disappointed. Obviously, we couldn't go back this year and play the Asia Cup, and then this next coming year head to World Cup, and it's still all up in the air at the moment.
Sure.
They're aiming for the Asia Cup before April next year. World Cup, but again, it's all, this pandemic is just crazy, and who knows whether it will actually go ahead.
Yeah.
So I probably swung around and diverted from that question again, haven't I? What have I?
The thing about you though is sometimes questions aren't so simple to answer, but it's also the content you give back in, which is what we love about people like you and the people that we engage with. Is you can also go on to the fact that and as probably a million questions too, I always take over. Sorry, is with these kids now, some people have got the chance to wear a yellow jersey or a green jersey for the very first time, but won't get to wear it. How do you deal with those kids who say, "Oh, I got selected, but I may not actually get to experience it"? Because come next year, the formula or the team or the system may change. So player A might be okay this year, but next year another player's coming and go, hang on, there's some talent there. How do you know you're going to have to deal with that, knowing that someone may not actually get to wear the jersey that they were selected to wear?
Yeah, well, hopefully it goes ahead. I haven't had to deal with it yet. So
Sure.
I guess we are aiming, or the plans are still there for Asia Cup. The plans are still there for the World Cup. We've just, I guess, holding out to see where this all heads. And I think when that happens, or if that happens, a number of players will basically head off to the college system straight away, and a number have headed there already. So that is part of the challenge with the Gems and program, is that these players are signing to US colleges, heading off and going to the US, and so we lose contact with them. And whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Like I could probably count on one hand how many players that I think have gone to the US college system and really improved.
Yeah,
like truly developed their game. Like if you think about it, players that have stayed in Australia, Ezzy's a perfect example. She's stayed here. She's developed her game here. Now she's on the world stage. I could get a freak athlete, but how many players have truly gone to the US college system and really improved and accelerated their game? I think Australia offers so much opportunity for these kids. It's just a matter of them finding the right program, the right coach that takes an interest, and they can accelerate through the current system here in Australia.
Yep.
But free education, an amazing atmosphere, an amazing life experience. Why wouldn't you take that opportunity? So it's a balancing act in terms of like the getting everyone on the floor and missing opportunities. I still hope that we can head into the Asia Cup and the World Cup next year. That's still planned. It's still going ahead. And to go back to answer that question, I think if it doesn't happen, then I'll jump on another podcast and talk about what happened.
Well, again, it's about adapting, and you just don't know. It's uncertain. So it's hard to think of things that may not happen or may not eventuate. You can't have all these things in place just in case. You got to focus on the plan and then deviate when needed, I suppose. But yeah, it's a good way to look at it, Dave. Good job. How's that? It's all yours, mate.
Yeah. So Herbie, I think with the common theme in our discussion so far, we talk a bit about nurture. And Dazza, we've spoken about it a lot on our podcast and with different people around nurturing and what we think it is. So Herbie, what does nurturing those relationships with players mean to you? And probably the second part to my question is, how have you seen that sort of change over maybe the last 20 years or a couple of generations of players maybe?
Well, I think if you look back, coaching wasn't really nurturing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
This is how I want it. I want that. The only way is this way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times coach would howl down a player or yell at a player, etc. And that's changed. That's changed in a massive way. Now it's frowned on. People don't carry on the sideline as much. You still see it every now and again. But people don't yell and scream on the sidelines. It's not about intimidating referees anymore. It's about actually coaching the game. And that, I think that's where I've evolved into that, rather than try to, probably earlier on, I was frowned on that I was too soft, not hard enough, etc. Where my style has fitted into the current or modern system. Maybe I had a vision 20 years ago. I don't know. I really do think that the nurturing a player is about fitting in, building a rapport, and then once you have that rapport, be demanding, let them know exactly what you want. Let them know when you're disappointed. Let them know when you're excited and happy, and be proud of them, and have that rapport where you can, that's just not acceptable. You didn't close out, you didn't stay in front of your player, sit on the bench, have that ability, and then also have the ability to go down and say, hey, but when you now go back on, I want you to make sure your feet stay square, make sure you get your gap right, and explain your philosophy again. Give them that extra opportunity. And when you're nurturing a player, it may take a situation where you have to bench a player for a game. And I refer to VJBL. You see so many situations where, and I'll talk about shot selection in this part. There's so many situations where a player will come down the floor, take on 4 or 5 players, 3, 4, and 5 players, and you see every Friday night.
Hell yeah.
The coach will applaud the situation. You made the shot, well done. They go down, do it another 9 times. They miss, throw a dumb shot, block. Look, they don't, because that player is keeping them in the game. They leave them on the floor.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Really, what they're doing is they're not teaching that player how to play the game, and that's part of the nurturing part. To me, you have to teach the game, and if a player is taking them, take them out of the game. If a player isn't staying in front of their player, take them out of the game. And explain it in detail. Give them the information they need to improve and develop. I remember going to Singapore, and I watched this game, and this kid went 1-on-4, 1-on-5, and not one other player in the team was engaged in the game at all. They never received the ball. He was going coast to coast. It was. And I turned around, it was a friend of mine, I turned around to him and said, why is your son playing in this team? I just couldn't sit and watch this. So, and it opened my eyes up to, that's what you see in the VJBL on a Friday night. What you need to do is get all players engaged and nurture all the players so they fit into your system. And then what you'll have is a powerhouse, not just a one-man band that is going to score and get it done. That kid will understand. So when they come and play or try out for the Gems, they're not going coast to coast against 3 players. They're going coast to coast. They're drawing a player, making an extra pass.
Yeah.
And I think that part of nurturing and teaching the game is so important. And it's neglected by coaches so much because they see the W. In, they don't see the fact that they're probably not developing the athlete.
Yep. That's where the depth is created, and that's where it's an education where the scoreboard actually, unfortunately, impacts the education because people get sidetracked. Well, are we educating, or is it all that scoreboard pressure? The scoreboard pressure is created on the depth you don't create, that you should create, which is really, if you go back to the basic fundamentals and you include your whole squad and develop your whole squad, well, then the scoreboard, in theory, will take care of itself. Going on that, Dave, with the education and developing players, and there's a lot of coaches out there that don't strive to be the best coach, but they just love what they do, and they bring culture in. And do you see a lot of where you just think that there's coaches out there that just don't realize what they actually do and what they're capable of, and you can just see the qualities that you just think, wow, that's amazing. They're the unknowns. They're the silent ones that just go about their business. They develop, they create. I always say culture's number one. Build the culture first. The system will come once the culture's developed and the philosophies and all those things. But it's amazing. There's a lot of people out there that actually are pretty great coaches in the game itself, but also in life learnings. Do you see a lot of that, Dave?
Yeah, I think when I run coaching courses, and I was running a hell of a lot for Rob Coulter with Basketball Victoria, one of the things I always say is every coach you have will have something valuable and possibly amazing to offer you. Yep. It doesn't matter what level they are. There's a life experience. There's and to be honest, one of the things that I thought of when I rang you to come and coach a youth league in Geelong was how you deal with players and your philosophy and your culture and the way you build things. And I basically gave you that call because of that understanding how you deal with the players, and particularly for young men like that, it was so important. And to see them evolve while you're coaching there, but it's the same across the board. There's so many examples. Like I could talk about my father, and I thought my father was the worst coach I have ever met in my life. Didn't know the game. Didn't know the game. Didn't understand exactly. He never played. When he bounced the ball, he slapped it. All that sort of stuff. But he coached successfully for Latrobe Valley or Latrobe Energy. He's probably the most successful coach down there. What happened was it wasn't about his X's and O's. Like, he had no clue. I'd say he probably evolved over time. But what he had was a rapport with players that was second to none. Like a player come down and says, hey, Barry, can I go on? Oh, yeah, go on. Let me know who you're subbing me up, that type of thing.
Yep.
He did. He was friendly. He was nice. He was, and it used to frustrate me watching. But what the success was there because of the fact he took an interest in the kids and wanted to really show them how much he cared, and he was always on time, always turned up. And that highlights to me, it's not all X's and O's. Sometimes it's about that nurturing, that developing, that believing in players and trying to give them the opportunity to develop and progress. And I think for the worst coach that I've ever met, he was amazing. Like, he did an amazing job. So
that's amazing.
He was Basketball Victoria. He was when I left Morwell, lived in Halifax 2 years, went to Townsville. All of a sudden, like, I left, and people were saying, you're David's dad, like that. But then next thing, he became this figurehead, became the number one season ticket holder in the Latrobe Valley. I get back there and said, you're Barry's son.
That's brilliant.
But that shows me about what you're talking about, though. It's that ability to build a rapport with players, that ability to inspire, the ability to really nurture the relationships is really fundamental to the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
For sure. Dave, what's the thing that keeps you up at night as a coach?
Sorry,
What's the thing that keeps you up at night as a coach? We all have them. Sometimes it could be one thing, it could be a combination of different things. It's a torturous job at times. What keeps you up at night?
In season, it's probably key matchups that are coming up.
Yeah.
Thinking about players that okay, they right, they left. How am I going to stop them? How am I going to do this? And that's probably one of the major things. Making sure all the, I think individual development as well. Like I'll go to sleep thinking about how I can change a kid's shot or a player's shot, or how defensively how you can improve, and have drills running through my head and evolving drills and things like that. And I remember the funny thing with the Super Cats girls, I say, hey, I thought of a new drill, and they used to roll their eyes. It was all about, okay, I've got an idea in my head. This is how we can fix the next situation, and look at the current drills and change it to suit what you were trying to do in that game. And that keeps me up at night. Yeah. And I'm talking, I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes I have to get up and write things down because my brain's racing with it all.
Yeah,
it's been hard in COVID because you just don't have that. So maybe I've relaxed a little bit, but I know how Darren functions, and it's on another level to me even. So.
That is for sure. That is for sure. Try getting the messages from him at any hours of the morning or night, Dave. It happens. It happens. Don't worry about that.
Yes, I'm known to be out there and a little bit unique. This is why I love it. We just, it's just how we talk and how we engage, and I love the fact that our philosophy is true. It's about the people. It's about the sport. It's about the whole. It's a whole package deal, and it all leads into life learnings. Dave, if there was an important thing you get out of sport leading into life learnings, what do you think the most important thing that sport helps for a person who wants to go and actually dibble their toe into the real world? How does sport have such an influence? What do you think?
I think at the moment I'm at Western Heights College.
Yep. And good job you doing there, by the way. Great job down there, mate. It's crazy. Good job.
It's been an amazing ride. Like we were hoping to get 10 kids. We ended up with 56.
Wow.
We're heading towards 80, 90 next year.
Wow.
And those questions you're asking me there are exactly how do we impact those kids in a way that they can transfer into life? And there's so many examples right now there. We develop values and culture, and I was very lucky to get Chris Blixavs engaged as a strength and conditioning coach. He's just amazing with the kids, and the values were set that it was all about. It wasn't just basketball. So the lessons that you learn in life, etc. It's not just basketball. We have a situation where the school has had a bad reputation. There's no doubt about that. You hear like the different comments and that about the school, but I tell you what, in 12 months, it's changed. Like these kids have been amazing, and I am answering your question, I promise. But these kids were told they have to go, and I did sit down and watch Coach Carter. I will admit it. You got to go sit in the front of your class. During the pandemic, you got to have your screen on. You've got to show the teacher you're engaged and you're interested and you're listening. All these little things have questions to ask your teacher. All these things have added up to these kids becoming role models without them even realising.
Yep.
And talking to Fiona Taylor, the principal, the other day, the amazing thing is that she just said that the kids have changed this. And it's not Chris or I or anything like that. We got great people in. We got some really terrific kids, and they've gone about setting a standard in the school that now other kids are trying to follow.
Fantastic.
And what I say with the life lessons is that basketball teaches you all those things: the discipline, the cultural aspects of hard work, being diligent in what you're doing. And what we've found at the school is we've got like-minded kids who just basically hang out together. They do everything together at the school, and what's happened is it's just had a massive impact on their lives. Like I'm so pleased and proud of what's happened there. It's not funny, like to see some of the kids grow and develop, and we haven't even seen them. Like, just in the first term. I'd hate to see where we're at now. Like and again, getting great people involved. Fiona Taylor's terrific. Chris Blixav's terrific. It has this, the whole thing is so exciting to where we can get to in the future. We built a 400-meter square gym, all that type of stuff. And to me, the life experience those kids are going to get out of there, they're going to be great citizens. And it's a quote from Rod Boone.
Booney.
Most people would know Booney.
Booney. He's a man.
Yeah. They will become great citizens. And that's something that I really look forward to seeing.
Fantastic.
It's amazing. No, it's a great example of coming together. Awesome stuff.
Hey, your last question, Nazar.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, Herbie, obviously, like so many others, life's sort of been put on hold, or the usual routine's been put on hold. What's something that's helped you through this difficult time, or you've made a conscious effort to help you through this difficult time? And what message could you perhaps pass out there to others?
Yeah, when I went for the Gems interview process, things that stood out to me were probably the physical development side of it, and the sports analytics side of it weren't my strengths, and they were questions that came up, and they're things that younger coaches are probably more into than, because basketball has done a poor job of the sports science area, in my opinion, across many years. So what I've done in that time is I've gone back, enrolled at Victoria University, and started my master's. So at the moment I'm studying enhancing muscular performance and sports analytics.
Wow.
So that has engaged my mind in a massive way to basically I've just stayed invigorated about coaching and everything like that, because every time I learn something about these key areas, it's like, okay, how can I implement that with what I do? And the opportunity to do podcasts and listen to people and watch and study basketball a bit more has been the real benefit of this particular time. Anyone who hasn't really taken time to do that has missed the boat, because I think it's been a chance to really sit back and try and develop yourself across this time. And I'm excited about actually trying to finish some study. I've got 2 assignments and 1 quiz to go, and it has been challenging. I did a 9,000-word assignment that I haven't studied for 20 years, and I was like, wow, this is heavy. So, but it really has helped me through this time. Like, there's no doubt about that. It's given me something to focus on. It's given me some real opportunity to try and develop myself personally, and I think all coaches should take that time out at different stages in their career and do it. Hopefully, it means that I come out of there with a little bit more information, and I can develop a little bit further. And that's something with coaching. You never stop learning. If you think you know everything, you don't. Basketball, if you watch a game, you'll learn something. If you listen to a coach, doesn't matter what level, you'll learn something. And that's why I love those coaching courses with Basketball Victoria, because you get something out of them. You'll learn something. You'll pick up something new, even a wording of something. It helps, and just a different way to term something as well. So that's been me across the COVID period. So.
Fantastic.
Well, Dave, we could with you, because we could go forever, because we could just talk and talk and talk, and there's so much we can throw at you. But maybe we'll get you on again if it's okay down the track, and just continue on to where we've left off. A couple of things. Personally, for me, I still want to thank you personally. You've always been a supporter of me, and we do some things what I'm doing and achieving. You've been a supporter, and that phone call when you did come get me to Geelong, I was sick of basketball. I lost interest in it. You convinced me to, and you gave me 2 amazing years there. I'm still lost again. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it, but I love what I'm doing with TS. But you've been the reasons why I'll probably continue to do what I do, mate. You've been a great support, and I thank you for that personally. Jumping on, me and Az are grateful, appreciative. You're very informative. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a walking encyclopedia, and we thank you, mate. And we're very proud to have you part of this program today. And so, Dave, is there anything you want to sign off, or Azza, before we head off and do our normal finishing off? Azza, Dave, anything you want to say before we head off?
Oh, look, I don't have anything to add to that. Dazza, this guy is an absolute gem in terms of what he knows about basketball, and someone I follow closely as well. So thanks, Herbie, for everything that you do for the sport and us coaches. So we wish you all the best going forward, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, thank you. And again, like I think a younger me would do so many different things or do things a lot different. But those experiences that I've had over time have led me to where I am now. And I know each and every day I can be better at coaching, and I love the journey. It's just such an exciting experience, and seeing young kids develop, and the school's really reinvigorated what I'm doing, and and obviously going back to study. While I hate doing the assignments, it's great. So, but thank you so much, Aaron and Darren, for having me on. And I love sharing information. I have a Google Drive I share with people, and people use it as a resource and things like that. And I'm happy to share anything that I'm doing. And with the Gems, I'm looking to try and do some things there in terms of sharing what we're doing and how we're doing it. Obviously, we've got to keep the USA at bay with a few things, but I hope that I can justify what Basketball Australia's faith in me, in putting me in the role, and try and be as successful as I possibly can.
Excellent. Well, thanks, mate. Appreciate you. So all do viewers, thank you. Hope you enjoy it. Like you said, we're trying to engage with all the tough times we're going through. Key themes: stay well, stay safe, stay strong. If you're feeling down now, reach out. You're not a burden. Someone will take the call. Someone will take the message, but we don't know. We don't know. Reach out, and hopefully someone can get you through these tough times that we are all experiencing to different degrees and levels. All right, guys, we are out. Thank you. Love to all, and stay safe. And Dave, good luck with everything, mate. And I'm going to be enjoying watching your journey. Just keep going in the direction it's taken, mate. So good luck with the Gems and everything else you're doing, mate. So keep in touch. All right, guys. Peace out.
Stay safe.
See you guys. See you guys. Bye.